What up, nerd? Stiff Coon in this bit. So a couple of weeks ago, I decided to test the new Rapid Morph skill on the Switch Axe to see exactly how many frames it shaves off of the animation of the morph attacks. I used the training dummy during these tests and came to the conclusion that when the skill is maxed out, the morph attacks only increase the speed of those attacks by roughly 20%. However, a couple of people in the community suggested that maybe I wasn't looking at it from the correct perspective. MaddieT here says, I think that the hit lag is throwing off your calculations. It looks like Rapid Morph reduces the animation time of the attack itself, but does nothing to reduce the hit lag or when you connect with the target. To test this, perform the same attacks off in the corner somewhere and compare them to the clips of you connecting with the dummy. Scyther250 said, it's an increased 30% in speed, not a 30% reduction in time it takes. Those aren't the same thing. And then here I am memeing here a little bit saying, oh, they're the same picture, you know. So he breaks it down and explains that does a 100% increase in speed make something take 0 time? No, it takes half the time. A 30% increase in speed reduces the time taken by 23%, which is about what you got in your testing. And Paradise Central of Eric's gaming fame, somebody from his I don't know, his squad, his crew, or his hunting guild, whatever you want to call it. He also made a similar point in that an increase in speed doesn't necessarily mean the time that it takes.
Increasing something's speed by a set amount doesn't necessarily mean that it will reduce the time it takes to do that thing by that same set amount. A really good example is if you're charging a battery. Let's say it takes 5 minutes to charge a battery. Well, if you're going to add in an extra 100% faster charge time, so you're charging it at double the speed, it's not going to instantly charge the battery. It's going to reduce the charge time by 50%, making it only need 2.5 minutes to fully charge that battery.
After hearing these people suggest these things, I decided to test it again. I was already kind of halfway working on this video when Paradise posted this video on Twitter, but these two initial comments convinced me to run some more tests. And it turns out that the first poster, MaddieT, was kind of correct when I first tested this. I went into the training room again and I tested Rapid Morph without hitting the dummy, and it seems as if without hitting anything, the speed is increased by 30%, as you can see here in this footage. And as you can see here, whether it be with or without Rapid Morph, hitting something increases the time it takes for an animation to come to completion. And if you run the numbers and do the math, Rapid Morph actually does increase the speed to be about 30%. Close enough anyway, assuming you don't hit anything, give or take a few frames or two. However, before I get into the results, I do want to explain to you how I went about counting the frames. So the first video I started, frame 1 was when the notification for the skill that I used, or the attack that I used, shows up on screen. But I ended counting at the start of the roll, but I was kind of eyeballing the hunter, trying to pretty much guesstimate when the roll started. But this time I decided to use another visual cue on screen like I did with the start count with the attack notification. I used additional visual cues on screen to decide when to stop counting as well. That way it's a little more consistent, I guess. So the first frame that the box appears on screen for the attack that I used to count as frame 1. After the attack animation begins, I mash the dodge button in order to demonstrate the earliest you can end the attack animation. So the final frame in the count is the first frame that my stamina gets removed for rolling, which is what I probably should have did the first time. So for example, the Axe Morph Rising Double Slash is 83 frames from the moment the attack description appears on screen to the moment I lose my stamina from my next action. That's not to say that this attack is actually 83 frames long, however. This is just the best way that I can ensure that I'm counting consistently across the board. So for example, again, Axe Morph Rising Double Slash with level 3 Rapid Morph only takes 62 frames. using previously stated method of counting the frames. The difference is roughly 30% faster, give or take a frame or two. So I actually was kind of wrong in the method that I used to count. However, it does seem that the hit lag does play a role a little bit, and it kind of throws it off a tad bit, but not as much as I previously thought before I ran some more tests. I'm also not sure if the recent patch that we had maybe changed something or not. I kind of wish I used this method prior to this. That way I would know if the patch had anything to do with it, but I kind of doubt it. I feel like Capcom would have specified in the patch notes that this was fixed or it was patched or something like that, but who knows. But either way, from where we stand right now, from when I said Capcom lied,
so that was a fucking lie.
Anywho, another thing I wanted to see is if the damage increase claimed in game was actually accurate, and just by going off the damage numbers themselves, it seems pretty spot on, maybe slightly better than in the game description, because it looks like the game rounds the numbers up. And last but not least, I wanted to see how the skill affected the other Morph weapon in the game, the Charge Blade. As far as I can tell, it lines up with the same results I got during the Switch X test. I only tested the 2 moves with Morph in the title, but maybe Elemental Discharge is applied to it too, because it is kind of a Morph attack, but it doesn't say Morph in the title, so I just didn't even bother. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's roughly 30%. It's like kind of a little bit more with the hit lag. It's not as at the end of the day, regardless of the results, Rapid Morph is still going to increase your DPS on some level. It's a good skill. Is it worth it to focus on it over maxing out other skills that are mainly for DPS, like attack or weakness exploit, all that jazz? Maybe not. I feel like it's more of a quality of life thing, but at the same time, it's not super hard to get level 3 Rapid Morph, or even level 2. The Almadron helmet has 2 points, so that'll get you most of the way through the door. Maybe you'd be better off if you get a nice Rapid Morph charm or something. That being said, I'm not super heavy in the min-maxing and whatever, so take what I say with a grain of salt. It could have actually be way better, who knows. As you can see, I'm not very good at running numbers. I'm a layman. I also feel like we still need to wait for actual people with actual skill that can data mine the numbers out to see, you know, or maybe like some hitbox visualization type of stuff like they do for like fighting games. Maybe that, you know, they can clear it up even better than me. But I definitely was wrong. After finding a better method to test this, I was able to defer that it actually is 30 frames, or 30, not 30 frames, but 30%. You know what I'm trying to say. I pretty much just wanted to clear up that misinformation I put out there. Shout out to Paradise for being a fucking Chad. I did leave a comment on his video about Rapid Morph, and I think that's what prompted him to do this Twitter video or whatever. I don't know, who knows. I couldn't, you know, maybe he might not be talking about me, who knows, dude. But I'm pretty sure it was, and I just wanted to clear up that misinformation that I put out there. So don't be scared to use level 3 Rapid Morph, bro. It's gravy. Capcom didn't lie, or they did and they patched it, but I don't know, because I don't know. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching this. Thank you everybody for being patient with me and, you know, taking the time out to show me some love, man. Shout out to Scyther250 and MaddieT. Also, shout out to Fox Invictus, who says he did some DPS math in some of his videos, and I'm gonna probably put his in the description or in the comments or whatever. And yeah, this has been fun, man. Hopefully I can come up with some other tests and stuff to try out and figure out, because I do want to learn more about the game myself. So it should be interesting to be able to share that with the community. And yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Deuces.